If you've got rentals but feel like they are running you instead of the other way around, you're not alone. Most investors get stuck here. Rising costs, vacancies, and repairs that eat your margins. And the portfolio you dreamed of starts to feel like a job you can't quit. I've been there, and here's how I keep my 20+ rentals profitable, full, and with predictable cash flow without having to work all the time. Number one, rentals aren't passive. Most landlords think that they are buying passive income, but that mindset kills portfolios. You're dead on arrival. This is an active business. The good news is that when you treat it like one, you know what you want, you have a strategy in place, and you execute it accordingly. You can make money, create cash flow, and build your equity going forward. Step number two, you need to understand the right numbers and manage them accordingly. Many people talk about so many different metrics in real estate. There's NOI, there's equity, there's net cash flow, there's appreciation, there's all kinds of stuff. But here's how I do it. So I focus on two metrics only. I look at equity and I look at cash flow. Cash flow is the money you make every month. It's the positive money. Money in versus money out. That's the bottom line, net cash flow. The other thing I look at is equity. And there are three ways how you can build equity and ultimately make serious money in this business. Listen carefully. So you buy low. So you buy always below market value. True investors never buy at market price. So we always try to negotiate, make sure that there's equity already built into that purchase price, okay? The second step is that we rehab the property in a smart way. The value of the repairs, when we choose them wisely, exceeds the cost of those same repairs. And then number three, we right the market. When we buy our properties in the right locations where the rental demand is the highest, we can pretty much assume that the market is going higher over time. So those three ways ultimately end up being your equity. And then cash flow. Your rents minus your expenses, and the bottom line is your cash flow at the end of the day. Avoid the middle at all costs. Vacancy is the silent killer of cash flow. Average location, average price, average property, average tenant. That's where you get killed and crushed, meaning here in the middle. The low end is reserved for the larger players in the marketplace, those who have efficiencies and scalability on their side. That would be in the real world, so to say, the Costco's and the Walmarts and these guys, Amazon, for instance. Okay? If I'm not a big time player with thousands of properties where everything is automated, then, and I don't want to get killed in the mushy middle, then I'm left with the top 10%, the so-called premium marketplace. What does that mean in practice? What does my product look like? So locations, let's start with that. It's close to school, it's close to the city center, close to all the services. Because my typical tenant is a student who wants to walk to the school or the university that he or she goes to. What about the property itself? Again, thinking about students, they don't need that much space. So it's a studio, one bedroom typically. And then the condition of the property, top notch, just remodeled, understanding what is that these people appreciate. That means that my demand is high, and when my previous tenant leaves or gives me the termination letter, on average in 2 weeks, I find a new tenant. So if you have a right strategy in place and you execute accordingly, you're not all over the place buying properties today in rural areas and then in the city center and then going with the 4-bedroom and then to studio, you actually have a chance of making it in this market. Number four, when you need to cut costs, do it smartly. Don't ever touch the property, because the condition of the property, the location, the way it is the reason why people stay there. Look at your overhead, look at your big ticket items, and usually your mortgage or your investment loan is the first place to start. The reason why it's so super important to understand where equity comes from is because when we have equity on our side, when the rates go lower, we actually have a chance to refinance. And that's usually the best way for you to bring your portfolio back to positive, so to say, if you're suffering from negative cash flow temporarily. I had a situation like that post-COVID when the interest rates skyrocketed all of a sudden here in Europe. What did I do? I sold some of my weaker assets. That's it. And then I paid off loans and I was able to put my portfolio back on track. We usually have two big headaches when it comes to cash flow. Vacancy is one, and the other one is a bad tenant. When somebody doesn't take care of your property or is not paying on time, that has a huge impact on our profitability. How do I handle it? Tenant screening. I posted another video about this separately, so you might actually watch that too after this one, but I'm going to recap this here quickly. So I'm doing this very differently compared to the property managers in town and all over the place that I have talked to and interviewed in the past. First of all, I have no public showings. I only have back-to-back 15-minute private showings with those people who are motivated and interested. How do I test their motivation? When people reach out to me, I always send them a text back saying, hey, thank you for your email or text. Would you please explain this and this, answer these couple of questions for me? And you would be surprised that approximately 20% of the people that I text me back. So that's my first way to test the motivation. Okay, the second step. that I'm actually letting them know when I'm having the 15-minute private showing. Then when people come, I actually get a chance to interview them and they get a chance to talk to me. So it's a two-way street. That has been very, very useful in the past. And then the last step, when people leave, I actually don't offer the contract to anybody, opposite to what my colleagues are doing actually. So I'm actually again telling these people to go back home and then send me another confirmation at the end of the day or latest tomorrow morning so that they have time to think. Because more often than not, people who express their interest to you at the showing, they're actually not that serious because they might change their mind or whatnot. So you always want those people who are 100% motivated to rent your property from you. So that's my way to screen the tenants. And to be perfectly honest, I've only had one problem over the last 20 plus years. What was that about? Basically, I went against my own rules and I didn't follow my own process. A friend of mine actually recommended somebody and I actually ended up doing a favor to my friend, and then this person who rented from me was not taking care of the property that well. Condition wasn't really the issue, but he never paid on time. So that was a $1,000 lesson for me, luckily not more than that. And then later on, I sold the property because it was not one of my best performing assets. But tenant screening is huge. So make sure that you have a process in place that you follow. Don't take any shortcuts because it's going to bite you back in the end. Number 6, upgrade for highest ROI, never ego. Kitchens, bathrooms, connectivity, heating, cooling, convenience, lighting are the items that people are willing to pay for. Money pits, designer items, those are never worth it. If you have a clean unit that was recently remodeled and it's in great shape, people are willing to pay for it. Your demand is high and your vacancy period is pretty much close to zero. Like I said, my average is typically 2 weeks because I had the right product for the right segment. Number 7, how do we scale our operations safely? We are no different. We want to make more money and build a bigger portfolio down the road. A couple of parameters, this we have talked about in the past. So the whole idea is about buying right, doing the right repairs, adding value those 2 ways, and that's how you build equity, remember? And then we refinance, we use that equity that we built, and that becomes the down payment towards the next purchase. And again, the next purchase is critical. We are no different. I mean, we don't deviate from this plan. So we again buy below market and we do the right repairs. So then we repeat the winning cycle, so to say. But the whole idea is that when you have equity, then you can pull that equity out and then you buy something else and then that's how you repeat. But let's talk about some stress test and safety mechanisms that I have in place when I'm scaling my operations. So first of all, I look at my total portfolio. It has to cash flow. If it doesn't, I have to fix it. What are usually the things that I can do? What are the tools in my toolbox? So interest rates. If I have equity and if I'm able to refinance my loans and bring the total interest payments down, then of course I do that, but I have to have equity for that. Otherwise the banks or the lenders are not going to do it for you. So that's one. And then when I look at my next purchase, I always stress test the cash flow situation for the whole portfolio with the plus minus 2% interest rate variation. So what happens if the interest rates go all of a sudden higher by 2%? So I need to be able to survive in that scenario as well. So these are the things I look at. So total portfolio has to cash flow. I might have some individual properties that actually are short-term negative as far as the cash flow goes, but never the total portfolio. And then making sure that you have that, I recommend plus minus 2% safety buffer built into your interest rates if you are in an adjustable rate mortgage environment. In some other markets, like in the US, if you have a 15 or 30 year fixed, obviously it's different. Then you don't have to worry about those interest rates when you were able to lock down that. So these are the things to keep in mind when we scale safely. Number 8, create systems. This would not be a business unless we had a template, a checklist, and a system in place. Okay, I want to quickly walk through what kind of systems I have in place. So opportunity and purchase, I would actually group into one. So first of all, I know where to find my opportunities. I have certain postal codes or zip codes where I only buy. I have a certain type of product that I buy, and I know what the criteria are. I have a formula in place for my purchase. So if you just randomly start throwing offers out there, there might be a chance that you luck out once or twice, but you need to have a system in place. You need to have your formula. How much equity are you planning on building into your purchase already? How much of a buffer are you reserving for your repairs? What kind of remodels are you doing? Do you have low, mid, high kind of a template? So between 10K, 30K, and 50K? And do you know what goes into those 3 different buckets? And then your tenant screening process, I already mentioned. I have a template for that I follow. And then the communications. I have an Excel spreadsheet where I track the communication I have with people and also the payments that they make. So every single step in our process, there has to be a simple template. This doesn't need to be anything overly complicated, but I would strongly suggest that you go and audit your operations and make sure that you have guidelines and you have strategies and you have values in place so that you have something to fall back on. Everything gets easier when you know what to want. If you're feeling the squeeze right now, rising rates, higher costs, and bad tenants, don't wait until you're forced to sell. I'll walk you through exactly how to reposition your rentals so that they are full, profitable, and stable. The call is free, no strings attached. I'll actually help you build the cash flow you wanted in the first place. Link is below.